Hi, everybody. Welcome to the lounge. It is Friday evening, 9 o'clock. We are in the lounge, and let me tell you, it's such a strange shift coming into fall. If you're feeling a little bit like you don't know what's going on, you're feeling the dimensions are shifting, and they're going kind of in another direction, and you're feeling all mystical and out of sorts, and you don't know where your life is headed, and you're shedding the old skin, and you're going into the new life, then you're in the right place. Because we're going to be talking a little bit about that tonight. And also, we have some stuff in the lounge that's going to be so exciting tonight. I cannot wait. We have Bob Grant, who is coming back from a couple weeks ago because he just took some of our listeners' relationship situations and turned them around live. I mean, these women were coming in depressed, not feeling good. There weren't stars up above their heads. They weren't having the feels, they weren't having the flowers and hearts in the fields. And all of a sudden, it's like Bob waved his magic wand and their troubles just vanished. And all of a sudden, they understood these love codes, these secrets that he has. And he is an Amazon bestselling author. And I have had my own experiences with Bob. 6 or 7 years ago, he came on Intuitive Radio and he told me live on the air to get away from that guy. He heard him through the headphones. He said, "This one's not for you." And the guy was in the studio. And you know what? I didn't leave the guy right then and there, but he was right. And he was able to tell that over the airwaves. So now we're going to have him coming on. We're going to see his face. We're going to hear what he has to say. We're going to see his live coaching in action. And we're bringing on oh my God, I just can't even wait to say her name. The lovely medium, Elise Sattilaro, is back co-hosting tonight's show. We're going to talk about the current energies. I have a little bit of news for you about my life tonight. Usually I'm all fun and games, but I've had some stuff happen right before the lounge happened. And I think I need some of Elise's help myself. So I want to say hi to everybody who's coming on. Let me see who's here. Carrie Potter. There she is. Right front and center. Hi, Carrie. Happy Friday, everyone. Hello, Nicole, Paula, Lori, and Jeff. I know you guys have all been here before, and we appreciate your loyalty to the lounge. And without further ado, let's bring on Elise Sattilaro.
Good evening. How are you? And what the heck's going on?
I know I didn't tell you what was going on. I don't want to give you, I keep you in suspense.
But I like that. Look, my glasses are all crooked for it, and so I'm ready. You know how everything's lopsided right now. So
can I just tell you that your energy is like, it's like a sunbeam in May.
Really?
Yes.
That's the first time I've ever heard you say that to me.
I don't think I've ever said it before in my life.
Wow. I just got my hair done. Maybe that's it. Could be that.
Maybe the color of the color was called something in May.
I don't know. It said it just said get rid of the gray, basically.
I think what's going on with everybody, especially you, me, the people that are going through this alignment process that we've been talking about, on the office and the porch and all this manifestation, the old life is closing, the new life is starting. And so many people are starting new careers, new endeavors, new creative processes, giving birth. Doesn't have to be a baby, but it could be the birth of a new process.
Right.
But doors are kind of closing that the universe is saying. And I do these things and my hair is bothering me.
It looks fine.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
So I do these things, these webcasts. Right. And I'm like, okay, this is what's going on for all you people. And then when it happens to me,
you call me.
Happy. I just found out about this 5 minutes ago. No, not 5 minutes ago, because I was with Bob and Becky down there. Oh yeah, we have Becky. One of my clients is coming on with a situation that all the women could relate to, and I think it's going to give Bob Grant's going to give us so many answers. Okay, I did a reading for her the other day, so we're going to talk about that.
Okay,
but so just to put it out there for everybody, that if you, like I said, remember we talked about the planes, trains, and automobiles in the webcasts over the past 2 weeks about getting on the right path and doors closing so that the universe can align you on the right path. There's going to be some disappointments and roads that are part of the old energy that you just can't go down. So I have to, I'm going to be vulnerable on tonight's show and not let everybody think that I've, don't have disappointments and that I don't have rejection. So I'm going to put it out there because I work really hard. So I was on the verge of getting a book published, which you know about. Yes. And so this book has been getting reviewed by a certain publisher for the past year and a half. So there was a revision, and I just got the email tonight that they are not going to take it.
Oh,
so I know. But see, my friend Victoria did the reading for me. I remember she was talking about at 4:30 in the morning, coming back from Florida.
Yep.
And she was seeing all this. So, you know.
But didn't I tell you a couple of years ago, there were going to be 3 offers? Remember, you're going to go 3 different ways.
I didn't even get one yet. But this,
well, not saying you're going to have 3 opportunities. 3 opportunities. Okay.
Well, it might be, I don't know. Wrong publisher. So Jeff's telling me wrong publisher. He's telling me wrong publisher. So he's getting to the intuitive vibe here.
You see that?
But I'm a little bit, I'm excited about the launch. I'm a little bit, just because I spent so much time on this publisher. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So much time, like last year and a half doing revision, but now I have a pretty solid, everything's pretty solid. The trademark, everything. So I'm just wondering what Vic was, 4:30 in the morning, driving back from Florida. And she called me and she's saying, I see, everything. It was right when I had sent it out was when she called me. It was that day. She's like, send it out 4:30 in the morning. I happen to be there. So I have to give Vic a call and see. But a lot of people are telling me, a lot of people are intuitive here on this podcast. They're saying wrong publisher.
I agree.
Wrong publisher.
Yep.
All right. Well,
we have 2 more opportunities. I told you 3. There's going to be 3 opportunities, and you're going to. So you still have 2 more. I don't know what publisher you went through, but there's definitely. I see like books opening. So
somebody's seeing it. So it's the big. But see, this is what I'm saying. That was part of a year and a half ago. Right. That energy started a year and a half ago. So I wanted to. And Regina's telling me congratulations on the book. The book. You might want to rewind the tape, Regina. Congratulations on writing the proposal, but I was just talking about the rejection. But thank you. Congratulations. You're manifesting it for me. But that's the thing, is that anything that's part of the old energy, this is a lesson for everybody. I'm taking it. I'm taking it hard. I came on here and I'm giving the show the best that I got. Because I can't tell you how many times up until I've been doing this 20 years. Okay. What I do. And I can't tell you how many times there's been rejection and I've had to get back on my feet and move forward. And it's all good. I take it as a challenge, but
in every aspect of life, doesn't the past trip you up anyway? You might be going the right direction, but you still fall back on like bad energy or bad habits, and you always end up tripping yourself. It's just human nature. This isn't your fault because it was the wrong publisher. So, I think just with anything you do in life, if you're pursuing something brand new, like a new job, a new relationship, book, but there's still those insecurities that you're still dealing with. And it's not so much you were insecure with this publisher. It's just I'm feeling it just wasn't the right time this time, but you still have 2 other offers coming down the road, hon.
And I revised it. I had to, and if I didn't have her, I wouldn't have built it the way I did and revised it. So, So it's been a year and a half with the same publisher, man.
Oh my
gosh. Time. But we'll get it. So I just want to let everybody know that these things happen, that I'm predicting are happening to me too. So I want you to feel like I understand, and that this is just an example of the old doors, the old life. If you are birthing a new life, which a lot of us are, Elise, you're really diving headfirst into this field that you're doing again. And I think it's now we're going into all new stuff, new transformation. Right. Everyone's transforming. And if you started something a year and a half ago, that energy was different than it is now. We're getting in a different train station. We talked about it. So we have to let those things go. But you know what? I think it's good if you find out this week what you need to let go of. Put those feelers out. And if a person says no, you just, close the door. I even had some clients, the way I'm doing my readings now, the mediumship, they're like, well, you're not doing it the way you did it 5 years ago. Like you did it this way. I'm like, no, well, this is mediumship process. This is how I now connect. This is how I best connect. And if you don't like my process or you don't want to do the process, then you're probably meant to go in a different track to another medium or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's all old energy. And instead of trying to hold on or try to force things right now with the energy, we need to release and move on, which is what I'm going to try to do, and just keep moving into the new energy, because that was old energy.
Yeah.
So, but the good news is, let's talk about good news.
Okay.
Good news is that Elise is now available for readings. Okay. Everybody's been asking, and she's been taking a hiatus since the school 12 years ago or whatever it was.
Long time ago. Yeah, it was about 12 years ago. Yeah.
But she is now, you're not forging this path. This is going to be your path. I know it. It's going to be your path. So
I feel more like calm in my decision in doing that, because there were so many times like, oh, I can't, and now I feel like this is what I've been or should have been doing for the longest time. So yeah.
But you were doing it professionally years ago, and then you got this other job, and now you don't have that job. And I think it's time to just forge this path. And this is all, everybody that's on this show, I think is going to be, I think this is the alignment show. I think it's where we're getting people in the train station in the right train, right?
Well, I think a lot of people are reinventing themselves because they can't go back as much as they want to do what they were doing prior to this whole pandemic. So people have been working from home in home businesses. They can't, the job market is horrible. Yeah. Unless you want to work for, and I'm not poo-pooing on $10 an hour, but as somebody that, these days you cannot live on $10 an hour. It's ridiculous. Right. So I just think, as you said, they're coming into the station and everything's aligning, because now I think people are doing more what they want to do than what they have to do. Right. What's in your heart, what's inspired. Exactly. That's how the show got to where it is because I was just walking down the street, and now it's here. It's just building. And it's so cool that all the people that are on it are starting to get business from it and getting aligned to their path, which I couldn't ask for anything more. I'm very excited. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're an excellent co-host of the show. Oh, thank you. I mean, and people are loving you. I'm not loving my hair right now, but that's all right. So let's talk about Bob Grant. Are you excited he's back on? You excited? I may hire him because I really need his coaching. I might. Well, I'm definitely going to get his book. But I just with when he was Brittany, I think that 1 week. Yeah, Brittany and Jen. I was so enthralled in what he was saying because it touched base with me. Yeah. Between I'm the saboteur of the relationships. I'll beat you to the past, and I'll break up with you before you break up with me because you won't get hurt, girlfriend. Rejection. Yeah, it's a bad pattern with me. Very bad pattern. But what's with the black tops tonight? I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. And I have my faded jeans. I'm very we're grieving the old life. We're grieving the old life. We're helping people. We're helping people die to their old selves and be reborn again to the new life. That's what we're here for. We're taking them into the forest, into the dark forest. It's a little slimming, so. Oh, yeah, add 15 pounds, right? Yeah, you look slim. You look like Slim Jim. I try. So speaking of offers, tonight, I know I sent it in the email and put it on Facebook and everything. Tonight, he has a special deal that's only for tonight, and it's the end date is next week at 9 p.m. before this show. But he's going to have an offer that I don't think people could refuse. Okay, if you want to work with Bob. But I'm just going to dangle the carrot because I'm not going to get into the offer. But it involves, I have to say, it does involve one-on-one coaching with Bob off the air. So I'm just going to tease it. But Bob does have a special offer for everybody watching tonight. And without further ado, should we bring him on, Elise? Oh, let's bring him on. Bring him on. Oh, wait, do you remember when I was on Intuitive Radio? Were we kind of connected when I was doing the radio show? We were connected, but I wasn't on the radio show. Do you remember the guy I was seeing at the time? Unfortunately. The name of the computer? Okay. Yeah. Orange. Yeah. My daughter's color, remember? Orange. Oh, your daughter didn't like him. Oh my God. How old was your daughter at the time? What was that, 8 years ago? Was it about 9? About 8 or 9. Yeah. So she was about 13. Yeah. So she was at that stage. She'll just tell you exactly he had an orange shirt on, or she was having she was right before she went into surgery. She was under anesthesia, and she still told you she didn't like him. Right? She didn't like his orange shirt. But she didn't like him. No, she didn't like him. There's something shady. That's what she said. Wow. How was I not seeing that? I guess I brought him, for those of you that missed a couple webcasts ago, I actually brought
This guy, I went on a couple dates with him. I met him because I was doing a ghost tour. Okay. I was like doing a ghost tour and he was there with some woman that I thought was his girlfriend. And I asked him when he asked me out on the date, I'm like, were you there with your girlfriend? He's like, oh no, just a friend. First lie was his ex-girlfriend that I found out like 6 months later.
Mhm.
They stayed friends and he, she broke up with him. So he wasn't too happy. So, we went on this date. It was a good date. Then he ghosted me. Okay. So we talk about the ghost. Every woman has had a guy ghost her. Everything thinks going well after the date. Right. So of course I am not the one who takes a stick out of gum. Okay. Remember that Waitlist commercial? I'm not that person. So I'm not going to chase him down. I'm not going to wait for him. I'm like, you don't call me. I don't want you. Okay. I got that part down pat, which right. Bob would be proud of. I got that part down pat. Okay. It's when I get into the relationship, that's when I have the problems. Okay. Because I, like you, tend to do what we talked about.
The saboteur.
Yep. Once everything gets good, everything goes bad. Right? The tornado just comes right out of the ground. So, so then he texted me out of the blue. This is just a review for everybody. He texted me out of the blue. He's like, I want to try this again. Sorry, I had some things going on in my life. Want to try this again. So I said, you know what? This is an excellent opportunity for all the women who listen to the Intuitive show to bring a ghost back. And this is like kind of like a funny thing to bring the ghost back because like I'm a medium. So I'm going to bring the ghost down to earth and be like, you're going to tell us why a ghost is a ghost. So if you want me to go back on a date with you, I have a challenge for you. You're going to have to come on the air live and you're going to have to be judged by the whole panel, a therapist, an author, a relationship expert, 3 of my psychic friends, my ex-boyfriend, and my best friend. And they're going to tell me whether I could go on a date with you. And you're going to have to tell all the women why you ghosted me. And he agreed. And you know what? He charmed everybody. And they're like, you should go out with him again. But not Bob Grant. And Bob Grant's in Montana. He didn't even see the guy's face because it was a radio show, not a video show, not a webcast. And he had his headphones on and he told the guy to take his headphones off during the live show. And he's like, Marisa, I'm going to tell you to be cautious about this guy because he's going to do it again. Mm-hmm. And I was still so enamored. I went on with it, but everything that Bob said was true. And he's not even claimed to be a psychic. So let's bring Bob on because it's about time.
I think.
Hi, Bob.
Hey there. It's nice to see you again.
Hi, Bob.
Do you like my introductions of you?
I'm sorry?
Do you like my introductions of you?
I do. I never get tired of that story.
That story is so awesome because I'm like not making it up. Like that's totally true. Totally true.
It was, I think I got the tape from that. I remember that. He was just so positive it was never going to happen again, which is the biggest problem. It'd be one thing if he knew there was a problem, was working on it, but acting like it would never happen again was just a little naive, we'll say. I don't think he meant to be mean. I think he really thought he wasn't going to do that again.
You mentioned like a symbolism of ice cream. You said something about giving him a scoop of ice cream or something. Don't give him all the ice cream at once. Just give him a scoop of ice cream because he'll run away. You said something about ice cream.
I tell women that. I said, imagine, because they'll say, did he like me or not? I said, let's pretend you're chocolate ice cream and he's had a gallon. I said, it's not that he doesn't like chocolate ice cream. He's full. He doesn't mean he hates it. He just doesn't want any more. So if he gets too much, just like if I get too much ice cream, I just don't want to look at it. I'm just full, but that doesn't mean I hate chocolate. I just, ugh. And so, because men with emotions, we're not used to flowing in emotions a lot. And so when we do, we just get flooded, which is great. And then we crash. And then we get flooded and we crash. And that's why I try to talk women, the ones that listen, into pacing men, as opposed to finding that one guy that can just have all the emotions of a woman and can flow around. It doesn't work. So, and the ones that do that, men actually like it. Or they do what happened with you. They don't have any patience for it and the guy leaves. But either way, it stops the process.
Well, once he did something, and I'm not going to get into this, but I was just like, no, he's done. Then that's when he called me. He's like, I love you. I want to be in a relationship with you. I'm like, nope, I already moved on, honey. That's it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It was like, I wanted all this, and he had me under the thumb and didn't want to give it to me. Then when I didn't want it anymore, then he wanted it. Police.
That's when you were safe.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, because if you don't like me, it's safe for me to pursue you. If you like me and you're available,
Okay.
that's kind of happens. I see this a lot with, not a lot, but women that date a guy that's separated. See, in their mind, he's not married, he's separated. No, he's married. And I say that not just from a legal standpoint, is they think because he's separated, he's emotionally detached. I'm like, he's not. He's something happens when the man gets divorced. I don't care if it's been 6 months, a year, where it's real, and then then it happens, and all of a sudden he gets cold feet. Because now he's not as free to pursue her as he was when he was still married. There was always a built-in buffer.
Mm-hmm.
We can only go so far. The divorce isn't final, and then once that is removed.
Had one of those too, Bob. Elise knows him well. Had one of those. He didn't even tell me he was still married. He wanted to date me. I had to find out from a friend of a friend who owned a salon. Like, are you dating that guy? Do you know he's? I'm like, absolutely not. And he's like, oh, we've been separated for 5 years. I have my own apartment. We're just not getting divorced because of insurance purposes for our children. Blah 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 blah. And then he's like, oh, we're good friends. But then I'm like, well, I'm not dating you if you're not single. Then he became single, and the wife starts sending me emails. Like, I'm like, wait a second, you said everything was fine. Well, it was not fine. And guess what? Yeah.
Happened?
No, well, guess what? After we broke up, he went and got remarried to her.
Oh, goodness.
Here's my story, Bob. You ready? Divorced 3 years. Meet a guy at work. He's supposedly going through his divorce. They were married like 20 years. They have like two teenage kids. My daughter was like 6 at the time. We ended up dating. Then he tells me he was engaged. I'm like, when were you engaged? He goes, right after I separated from my wife. I said, but you're still married. He goes, yeah, I know. So he was separated, got engaged to this other girl. They broke up. He started dating me, broke up with me to date some kind of 19-year-old floozy. He was like 48. They get married. He ends up divorced. She divorces him. He comes back around, tries to date me again. I'm like, no. Marries another woman. They get divorced, comes back around. And I'm like, no. And then he dates this other girl or other woman, and now they're married. So the marrying guy, but the fact that he was separated and then engaged right after he got separated because he was cheating on his wife with this woman.
I've never heard anyone that separated and got engaged.
Well, he did.
All my years, that is the first.
Yep, he did.
The audacity of that is impressive. It's ridiculous, but it's actually impressive that you can be so not naive, but clueless to think that's okay.
Yeah.
So
did you ever hear someone who got divorced and then dated that person, then once they broke up, got remarried again and had a wedding? Because that's what happened to me.
I mean, I have.
And they both have the same name, Marisa.
Yeah, that's bizarre. I just, and a lot of times pacing doesn't fix everything, but it really, because men don't like to wait. And then when they have to wait and go at your pace, they have to do it from the will alone. It's not just emotions. When you bat your eyes at them and smile, that's easy to, because it feels great. You're smiling. It doesn't feel great when you say, wait, slow down, or however you do it. And then you start to find out about character, and you get an idea of what he's going to be like when you're in a bad mood or have a rough day. Stuff that you can ask him, are you patient? Yes, I'm patient. I'm so patient. I am so, and he's not lying. He really believes it, but you need to see for yourself how he treats you when he's in a bad mood, how he treats you. What does he do with a waitress when the food is cold?
Yeah.
Things that you can ask him, but you need to see it as a woman, and time always reveals a man's character.
I have to ask you a question, Bob. How did you know how did you know this guy was shady from a radio show just by hearing his voice, and then know that another guy who was interested in me was a good guy? How did you know the difference between the two by hearing their voice? That's just amazing.
That's a trade secret.
Oh,
It's because when someone has whatever the problem is, temper or trouble committing, that's not the main problem. The problem is their degree of awareness. So if I've got a temper and someone points it out and I say, I don't have a temper, that's what scares people because Bob doesn't see it. But if I've got one and say, I know and I'm working on it, that makes me safer because at least I've got some awareness. The guy you're talking about was so confident he would never do that again. And that's not taking a look inside. That's just bluster. And I don't think he meant to be like, this is what's tough. I don't think he meant to be lying and stuff. I think he really believed just from willpower alone, I'm not going to have doubts anymore. Versus if you have doubts, you have to learn to work with them. I mean, telling someone don't be hungry is the same thing as telling someone don't have doubts or don't be fearful. If you have them, you have them. And just like parts of our body and stuff, if my arm's hurting, I don't tell it, it's not hurting. It's just I make adjustments with it until it heals up. And it was that lack of willingness. And even when we pointed it out to him, he was positive. Nope, not going to happen again. And that was when I was like, take your headphones off, please. Because I didn't want to be ugly to him on the air, so I did that.
Right.
Courteous. And it was, and the other guy just didn't seem to have from what I could tell, didn't seem to mind being authentic.
Right.
And which is not the same as transparent, but just, it wasn't one extreme or the other. I'm really a bad guy or I'm really a perfect guy. And he just, he had some awareness, and not that everybody has to go to therapy, but just you need some awareness of what your stuff is, because that's what you're going to bring to your partner, as opposed to I don't have an issue. Well, I can find something on anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, just give me enough time. I can find something, but I want to know what you're doing about it.
And you know what? This is a great segue to bring on our lovely guest. And Elise, people are asking, sign me up. They want a reading with you. They want to know what's going on. How do I get in line to book? Elise is working on her website, but you guys can email me or our office at info@connectionbeyond.com and say, hey, I want a reading with Elise. And I'll say, give me a number, give me your email, and I'll send it over to her and she'll book your butt for a reading. How does that sound? All right.
Please do. I appreciate it. Thanks.
All right. So we are going to bring on a woman who is a client of mine, had a reading with me just yesterday, and it was about her relationship. And I picked up a bunch of stuff and I said, you know what? This would be a perfect challenge for Bob Grant. And this is going to be a perfect opportunity for all the women here, because I know a lot of you are interested in this topic, not really knowing if you should stay or should you go, not knowing if this person's right for you or if they're not, or if you're sabotaging yourself and the person's really a good person, but they're just nice and boring and you don't like boring, you like chaos. We have to find out what it is. So you want to get out of the relationship because you want that high and it's not good for you, or it really is a bad relationship. How do we know? So we're going to bring Becky on. We're going to talk about my reading with her. Bob's going to get a sense of what's going on with her. I'm going to give his insight. Like I said before, Bob's got a special offer for all of you tonight with his book and also private one-on-one coaching that he's going to give away to the people who buy his book. And you're going to be able to get a one-on-one session with him because a lot of you need it. I know that. I need it. Okay. I'm sure Elise needs it. All right.
Oh my God.
So we're going to talk about that once Bob shows you the magic wand, because that's what he does. That sounds really sexual, but I didn't mean it to be that way. Okay.
Oh
Sorry, Bob. Did I offend you? Okay.
It's magical.
It's magic.
I bet it is, Bob.
Apologies.
Okay. Well, with that, let's bring on Becky. She's going to remain anonymous tonight. Okay.
Hi,
Becky.
everyone.
Hi, Becky.
Hi, Becky.
How's it going?
We're doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very excited to be on with you guys tonight.
We're excited to have you. And I was excited to read you the other day. And I think we really made some headway into your situation, because you had initially called and said, oh my God, I gotta ask you about my boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a good situation. I'm about to break up with him. And I'm thinking you're going to tell me the guy's a criminal and he's abusive. And you're like, oh, I'm like, well, so what's going on? You're like, well, he's not really present all the time. And, sometimes he plays on his phone too much. I'm like, really? Because what I'm picking up intuitively is that you don't have a bad guy. And you're like, well, that's what everybody else is telling me. But then I'm like, well, let's talk about you. And you had talked about some of your triggers, which I think a lot of people don't recognize them. You're very self-reflective. So you were giving me a sense, I know what my triggers are. I know they're related to my father, who emotionally kind of got distant and kind of abandoned me emotionally. And but I said to you, I remember saying to you, it's just having that knowledge and an intellect about what the triggers are isn't going to change the triggers or change what your body is going to want to react to. Your body's still going to react because it's not listening to that intelligent conversation. So a lot of people think they just have to recognize what it is and then they could change the cycle or the pattern. And then I kind of stayed away from your boyfriend. I'm like, look, I don't mean to offend you, but let's talk about you. And I was like, how are you reacting when he's not being present? And then I was like, you're not reacting to him, you're reacting to something else. So I gave you some little tips and tools to do. Did you do any of the things that we talked about?
Started to, yes. I've definitely done a lot more reflecting on what those triggers are and just trying to not be so reactive to them. And it's hard because we don't live together right now, which I know you and I spoke about when we did our reading. So I think that the distance doesn't help the situation either, because when we are together, that's when I'm more acutely aware of them. So I'm having a hard time just deciding if those little things that he does are enough to make me say, hey, man, I can't do this with you anymore.
Now, do you want to talk about how you had that conversation with him about breaking up recently?
Yeah, so that conversation happened right at the beginning of the month. And prior to that, we have had other conversations similar to it, very calm, very open and respectful, where it's just, I've told him, look, I'm not feeling hurt. I'm not feeling like you're seeing me and validating the things that I need you to validate for me. And you're just kind of letting me fall to the wayside. I feel like you don't value me. You're not making an effort to see me. And he hits me with the reverse Uno card and says, oh, well, if coronavirus hadn't hit, I was planning to come live with you and I was planning to propose to you. And I said, how am I supposed to believe that when your actions are saying something completely different? I don't know if this is manipulation, and I don't know whether to believe you or not. And in my heart, of course, I want to believe that, but I just don't know if I can, and I don't know if his intentions are genuine.
Right. And we had talked about, too, you said when he's with his family or he's with other people, he's distant and he doesn't contact you during the day. And sometimes you're waiting for hours. And I'm like, well, are you like pursuing him when you feel anxious? And are you calling him and saying, hey, where are you? What are you doing? And you're like, yeah. I said, just try to pull back and make him work for it. You know, make him work for your attention. And I don't know if you've tried that. You gave him a little bit of distance with the phone calls.
Yeah, I have tried that recently, and with that last conversation I had with him, I basically told him, look, if you're not going to pursue me and put that chase in, don't expect me to put forth that effort, because you are supposed to be the one pursuing me, and I don't feel like you're doing that. So if you're not going to do it, I'm not going to do it either. And I want to say that it clicked for him, and it worked initially after we had that conversation. But as you know, the past week and a half have gone by, I feel like I'm regressing backwards to him not being involved and kind of being in the same pattern again. And I feel like we're stuck.
Yeah. And I know when we talked yesterday, we had talked about you pulling back a little bit. Did you try that for the day, or did you not try it, put it into practice?
Yeah, I did. I pulled back, and I think I talked to him in the morning. It was like a good morning text, and then it was hours later in the day, and I'm talking maybe 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, and it was, oh, I was busy around the house doing stuff with my family, and that was it. So
And did you not respond to him, right?
Nope, I waited. I put my phone on the other side of the room and said,
Good.
oh, okay, I'm going to do
Good.
my own thing. I don't need to entertain this.
Good. And before, you were probably like, where were you? What's going on? That kind of thing. And saying, you know, I don't, yeah. So you're changing. And this is where I'm going to put it. Like, this is where we are, Bob. This is where we ended after our session. That I only had a 35-minute session with her. So we haven't been working together a long time. But this is where we have ended. And I felt this was a good place for you to pick up.
Call in the relief pitcher.
Yeah.
Hi, Becky.
Hello, Bob.
So you agreed to come on, and I heard that what Marisa had said with you. So when you say things like we're not connecting, I don't know if you said he's not making you a priority. What is it he would do or say that would make you feel like he was putting you first or prioritizing you?
I noticed that he's very, very involved with his family. He's been very involved with his family from the beginning of the relationship, and there have been instances where they go out and do things and I don't get included, I don't get invited. I get told, "Oh, hey, we're going out to a restaurant." And then it falls flat and I'm not included in any of his plans. Um, that's one thing I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay. How long have y'all been going out?
Just about 3 years.
I'm sorry, how long?
3 years.
Has he always done that with the family?
Not so much in the beginning of the relationship. I noticed a change about a year and a half ago. I moved into a house and I started living there by myself. And we had the intention of him coming to stay with me, and that was something we talked about as being part of our plans. And as soon as I got in here and was doing my own thing, that's when he kind of started pulling back little by little and prioritizing, like I said, his family and his friends and going to the gym and prioritizing school. And I fell off the bandwagon. So from maybe second place, I'm now down in fifth and sixth place.
Mm-hmm. So I'm skipping around, okay? And if tell me if I lose you on this.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been going out 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
and what's the, not to make this too clinical, but what's the goal? This is someone you want to marry. This is someone. What would the end look like?
So initially, that was the goal. We were on the same page about that. It was, he felt the same way, I felt the same way. It was really organic and it felt right. Where things sit right now, I'm leaning more towards no, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know
Okay.
if I can.
Yes, but that would be like what you would like with him or someone else. It would be nice to be married again to someone wonderful. I'm asking.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
How old is he?
He is going to be 30 in the beginning of next year.
Okay. So do you know what his hesitation is? Has he told you?
Initially, what I believe to be the problem is, since he decided to go back to school to pursue more, I guess, better opportunities for us in the future, he has said to me, "I don't want to come and live with you because I feel like I would be a freeloader." And I've gotten little other excuses, but that seems to be the major thing from him, where he doesn't want to be a freeloader and he wants to be responsible for everything, which is fine, but where are you emotionally? Where are you when I need you for help around the house? You're not there.
Okay, so I'm gonna. Ooh, I don't want this to come across as sexist. So and I say this to clients same way. So you're so you're kind of thinking like a woman, which is not a good or bad thing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so the reason I want to separate this is most men don't think that way from a I'm going to spend all this time. I mean, they might do it in times. That's not my bigger concern. Some of that's just being a little clueless as a guy from a we just think different.
Mm-hmm.
My hesitancy is once you get past 25 or 30, it just doesn't take that long to figure out if someone's a good fit.
Exactly.
So I hear what he's saying. Men have a way, when they want something, they make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is bad ways too, like day trading, or I mean, men take risks that women would never think about just because they want it bad enough. But that's also good quality too. They just find a way. And now I don't know him. I don't know what his hesitation or his fear is, but if I'm talking to him one-on-one and I get to know him, that's what I'm more curious with, because I'm with you 3 years. That doesn't make sense to me. I mean, unless there was some bizarre reason he's stationed across the country or across the world, deployed for 2 years. Okay, I kind of get that. What does he do when he gets angry?
I want to say he shuts down. He doesn't share with me what he's feeling, and I've brought that to his attention in the past before, where I've said, clearly something is bothering you. I want you to feel safe and open to share it with me. And I'm always told, it's not for you to worry about. It's okay. I'm dealing with it on my own. And we've never really had like an argument, I guess you could say, because of that.
Any
Wait,
idea? Yeah.
I just wanted to jump in. Bob,
Mhm.
do you believe that he was going to propose if the pandemic didn't happen? Like when she had this relationship conversation, like
I have no idea.
yeah, it was just kind of like, I wonder if, I don't know, I got a sense that he's kind of a realist and he plans things, and maybe he was.
I mean, he might have. It's not so much as like good or bad.
Yeah.
It's the hesitation, and this is, if I can drill down. So Becky, you know, I'm gonna drill down a little bit more. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
there should be a button nearby that's red. If you push it, all of us disappear. So you can hit that if I go too far. Okay.
No, go for it. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for help.
Everybody says that. Everybody says that.
But that's why she's not on camera, and
Okay.
so she's ready to go for it.
So do you, I don't know if you, do you talk to him the way you're describing right now? And what I mean, you know what I'm talking about? I can tell you if you don't.
I try and I tell it like it is with him. I feel like we've got a good enough communication where I can say what I need to and not hold back.
Okay. So that's what I'm after. So, it's not change personality, but men in general don't like to be told what to do. I'm not saying that means that men are right all the time. They just, and especially if you're right, so a man can either argue with you or he can just tune you out. Because to another man, if another man did that with me, and this happens even when you're an adult, what goes on in a man's mind is there going to be a fight? Is it worth getting into? And most of the time the answer is no. Most of the time you just tune them out. And you learn that as a man early on, because when you're 7, 8, 9 years old, there is no teacher Johnny hit me. That's embarrassing. You either, and that kind of testosterone thing. And that's what it feels like in a moment's notice to a man. And I'm not saying never confront a man, but a lot of it has to do with, you can tell. I mean, I've got a lot of professional clients, and they sometimes will carry that work stuff over. And they don't mean to be rude, but they're just, just telling it like it is. And they wonder why they can't connect with him. And granted, the guy's most of the time doing knucklehead stuff, or he's doing clues. So I'm not saying there's not a reason for it. What I'm after is kind of separating your part to see if we can get to it with him. Because, and I'm not saying he's your boss. So he's not your boss. It's just an example for everyone watching. Just an example. Don't send Marisa mail, please. Just an example. But if you're upset with your boss, there's a way you talk with your boss that you don't talk with your coworkers. Even if your boss does something dumb, there's just a respect built in. Even when you have to point something out, that works well with men, because I can be respectful. And I've had couples in my office, and the guy's doing something. I know I cannot embarrass him in front of his girlfriend or wife. Even if he's wrong, I can be firm, but I'm still respectful. I don't care if he's smaller than me. I don't care if he's younger than me. I cannot do that, because I'll lose him the moment I do. And in fact, the more right I am, the more I'll lose him if I embarrass him. So if it's stuff with him, he's done this at some point. He was attentive the way you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. So you've asked him, but tell me how close you've come to this. If you ask him, and we love specifics, and we love stuff that's fairly simple. So whatever it tests, I ask you what there for me means. You used to call me all the time, and you don't do that much anymore. So I don't know why. So I figured I'd ask. To a man, that sounds totally different than, why don't you call me anymore? I know sometimes women go, that's what I said. I said, no, you didn't say it the way I said it. Oh, I don't want to walk on eggshells. You don't have to walk on eggshells. You can do what I'm doing right, not just you. That's you. Any woman, you can talk to what I'm talking now. Once you do this with a man, that testosterone kicks in, and that shield goes up, and because you're not bigger than me, you're not going to hurt. And so you can hear my tone right now. But men don't say that, because if I say that, you're going to want to talk about it. We're going to fight. So I'll just nod my head and say, yeah, you're right. Right.
And that's what he does. He yeses me.
And so yes is a version of, it's not worth the fight. You can't make me do anything. So I'm just going to detach. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying that men should do this, because remember, we don't do a lot of stuff with emotions. And if if a man came up to me and talked that way, those are fighting words. Now, I'm not going to get in a fight unless he attacks my kids or my wife. But that's what it feels like initially. My first reaction is, who are you to talk to me this way? Can't say that to my wife. I mean, if I'm dating someone, I can't say that to my girlfriend. I mean, because that would be, but I'd say that to a guy. I mean, see, that's what it feels like. But see, I can't use that gear with the woman I care about. But she's acting like she wants to throw down. Again, I'm not saying you do, but that's what it comes across. Tell me what you're hearing me say, because I want to make sure I'm on the same page with you.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe the delivery of what I'm trying to say to him is getting lost. And maybe that's where we're having some communication breakdown, because I'm not being, I'm not saying what I need to say in a way that's going to make sense to him, and not have him react where he's just yesing me and saying what he thinks I want to hear.
Yes, that's good. But you know what? It's even worse than that. You ready? Whether you mean to or not, if you do it, you're bailing him out. Because see, I think you have valid points. And so I'm not saying do this, but if I talk like this to Marisa, she can't hear me. Even though I'm exaggerating, but see, even though I'm pointing out, she can't hear. And see, your valid points get hidden behind the delivery, because with men, tone is really important. I don't mean walk on eggshells. I'm not saying that. Remember, if it's my boss, there's a certain way I'm going to talk to them, because I don't want them to hide behind, I raise my voice. Because the boss is about to do something that's going to cost the company $500,000. I need him to hear me, or I need her to hear me. So I wonder what happens if you did that. What I'd be curious as to how he responds. I don't think that fixes everything. But see, I don't want him just to hear it. I want him to feel it. That's my concern. Is that my guess is, and I'm asking, not telling. You've got enough of this built up over time that it's hard to keep it in. Is that fair? Would you say it differently?
No, that's accurate.
Okay. How well do you do with being vulnerable with him?
I would say decently. In the beginning, I was a lot more open to it, but as time has progressed and we've experienced things together, his reactions are sometimes not what I would ideally like. So I think I've over time become a little bit more closed off.
Okay. And how well do you speak with him with feeling words?
I think I do it decently. Him, on the other hand, he's not a feelings kind of guy. Like Marisa, we talked about before, he's very realistic, facts. That's how he operates. Not so much on emotion, more so on logic.
And actually, I'm okay with that. Because I think you're more the heart than he is. Now, I'm more interested in how he does with your feelings than him sharing his feelings. Because if he starts doing that a lot, honestly, y'all, it's going to be like a girlfriend. I'm not saying he should never do it. It's just I've had women that would, I want the guy to open up, and the guy starts opening up, and it just makes them cringe. I mean, they like it at times. I mean, women say they want a strong, sensitive man. They lie. They want a strong man that can be sensitive. They don't want a sensitive man.
Like scoop of ice cream once again.
Yes, the scoop of ice cream. But I don't want just. I'm the ice cream as the woman. I'm the pretty one. I don't need a pretty guy. I mean, that's my domain, right. And I'd like him to visit at times. So, has there been a time with him where you felt like he heard you? I mean, like he felt your pain, not just that he yesed you. Did you have that in 3 years?
I think maybe once, like true, like I get it. I know he got where I was coming from.
So details, how did you do that?
We were just sitting, and I think I spoke to him a little bit more about how you were saying men respond better to being spoken to. It was, I didn't have as much emotion behind it. It was just, hey man, these are the facts. This is how I'm feeling. This is what's going on. And he responded a lot. He received it a lot better than if I was fluffy and emotions and everything.
What do you mean he responded better?
I guess maybe just in his response, he was just very like, hey, I understand where you're coming from. This makes complete sense to me. I know why you feel this way. And I felt like he saw that. He saw what I was feeling, even though he didn't experience it. I felt like he got it.
Okay. So let me ask you, do you want him to get it or do you want him to feel it? And
I want him to get it more than feel it.
Okay. So that actually works. So you can have him get it. That's not going to make him feel close to you, though. I'm not saying that's bad as much as, because because a lot of times with men, it's not an understanding problem. It's a motivation problem. Men really do get it more than women think. We just don't want to acknowledge it because then we have to talk about it.
Why don't you want to talk about it?
No, I don't want.
Why?
Why? Because that's your domain, and I'm sitting here, and you have to process for 5 minutes, and then I say a couple of words. I'm just saying this is the fear, and you want to talk 10 more minutes. I say a couple of words, and then you feel great, and I'm agitated. That's not a cathartic release for me as a man. As the man, I'm like, oh no, it's for us, it's like a fire that goes on inside of us, and we need a crucible. For women, it's like a bumblebee in their head, and I got to get it out. So when guys say just get over it, they're like, how am I supposed to ignore this bee in my head?
Yeah.
And so men are like, just tune it out. How do you? And it's not an intelligence thing. It's just women think and feel simultaneously, and a lot just need to verbally process or just talk or share. Not that men never need to do that, but most of the time with men, if I talk about it, it reminds me how bad it is, and I need to put the fire out before I can talk to you about it.
So how do you bridge that gap between men and women so that women feel they're heard and men feel like they're not overwhelmed?
So the reason I focus more with women, and every woman hopefully will get this, if we leave it up to a man, ladies, you're in trouble. All of you intuitively know, as far as the emotional connection, the relationship as a whole, I mean, I don't mean like 100-0, but women are better at this. Women are more intuitive. Women flow in feelings more. And if we expect emotional connection from a man and him to know how to do this, no,
they don't.
I mean, they don't.
Yeah.
I mean, and every now and then you'll have a moment where he gets lucky and then, I finally found someone. No, for whatever reason, it was the 4th of something and he just happened to get it that day. And so with women, women are the ones that help bridge that gap. Women's are the emotional gatekeepers. Again, not like a mom, again, not 100% zero. So when I tell clients, I say, you have to be good at this, not perfect, but you have to be, because if you're disconnected from emotions, he's not going to know how to relate to you. I mean, and we can have logical conversations, but there's no connection with that. I mean that works fine as a roommate, but men do stuff because from an emotional standpoint, I am compelled. I'm going to protect. I got your back. I don't care if we're in debt. I'm going to get us out of debt. That kind of hero thing, that hero gene kicks in, and we want that. Not because we have to, not because we're told to, not that, not because mom said, but because you trust me. And again, it's not a blind trust. If I'm not doing stuff, you can't just blindly trust, but that's really what we're after. So
is this what your book is about? Like, does this help women figure out how to do this?
Oh, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, because the idea is to use your emotions. Because a lot of women get told bad stuff, and Becky, I hadn't forgotten about you. It's the emotions are the prize for men. That's the whole stuff. The reason we buy dinner, the reason we open doors, I know some places they don't. The reason we do stuff is for you to smile. I mean, we don't need you to buy your dinner. I can make more money. That's easy. I can do that. But having you smile at me from across the thing, yep, I did that. That's right. And it just puffs our chest up and all because I impressed you. That's the prize. And that's why men that are really big on fair make me nervous. See, that's a fragile quality. And I get fair to a degree, But that fair, and so Becky, what I'm wondering is,
Wait, can we talk about your book for a second?
Okay,
So I
sure.
can, before we go back to her. Any woman that wants to learn these qualities, right? What you want, what you were just talking about, we can learn them in your book, right? So I just wanted to put out
it's more like a program. It's called the Woman Minodor, and this is what I did was after talking to all these women and studying, these are the qualities. When men say there's something about her, that's what this is, and it's not like everyone has to be like Susie, Jennifer, and all. It's in every, some women are talkative or some are quiet, some are tall, some are shorter or petite. I mean, it's not about becoming something other than who you are. It's really about becoming more of who you are. And it doesn't mean everyone has to do emotions a certain way, but emotions are the secret sauce. So I have women a lot of professional women that I've talked with, it's easier to think and they're smart, but thinking's safer. Nothing wrong with thinking. It's just when at work, we all have to do that. So we're not talking about work, but women can switch gears. I've seen it. I've seen it for years. That it is like changing an outfit when it comes to relationship. And so when they do that, that man feels that and picks up on that. And whether she's powerful, whether she's a hobby person, I mean, whatever her personality is, that lack of that from a man feels like he doesn't know where his place is. And so, yes, we show you how to do that. And one of the things we talk about is, I call it the campfire effect. If you've ever been around a campfire, summer, winter, it just draws people, insects. I mean, you just can't help but go toward a campfire. And that's the quality she has. I've had women that got good at this. These are true stories. One woman, she's got stunned working out, and she has to tell me all the details. Sweaty, no makeup and stuff. And they're at the bagel shop. I got 4 men tell me which bagel to buy. What? And she's not doing anything consciously. It just sort of happens as you learn this. It becomes part of you. And that's the thing I hear a lot of is Bob, what's going on? What's, and because it's a byproduct as you do this. So that's what, and we've been doing this probably over 17 years, and it never gets old. Show women how to do this.
And so this isn't just an ebook, this is a program.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a program. And so you have a special offer for the ladies who want to get a slice of Bob for themselves tonight. Mm-hmm. And why am I saying all this weird stuff? Anyway, what is the offer?
You're not used to saying it. So I did this the very first, and it went over well, and then we got busy, and so I backed off. But for your folks, it's what I would do is anyone that bought the program, I'd give a 15-minute session to go with it, and we'll schedule it. And I've done it enough times that it's not that we can fix everything in 15 minutes, but in 15 minutes, usually I can give you a pretty good idea of where to start, or at least point you in the right direction. Mm-hmm. And I've probably done 1,000 of them in the last 10 years, just because, not everyone would sign up for it. And I've sort of learned how to do it as far as what things to ask. And it's really sort of an unstuck or, where do I go next kind of thing. And they're fun. I mean, especially when someone comes in. Awesome. But for a week, I'll do this. For 1 week from tonight.
So there's a deadline. This offer is only available for the week. So if you buy Bob's book next week, you don't get the 15 minutes with Bob. Okay. And you have to mention my name, right? Marisa, is that the code?
Well, yeah. So you send an email in and just put, so I bought this from Marisa, just something like that. And that's good.
Marissa's
because otherwise the people that buy it, we're not going to know the difference unless you say that.
Right. Okay. And you get their 15. So I'm going to put the link into the feed right now. So you have it from tonight until I'll tell your friends about it. And you have and it's just an offer for those who are watching the webcast. Mm-hmm. And this is a value. Tell them what it would cost if they were to purchase this.
Well, normally the session with me is $400. And so that's 45 minutes. It's about $150 offer.
Yeah.
And I like doing it. Most of the stuff I do now is selling products. I like talking with clients just because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it's not the majority of what I do. But I was trained as a therapist and always love that interaction with someone. I love taking puzzles and coming up with solutions. That's always been something that's fun with me, especially with this.
Awesome. Well, I don't know about any of you out there, but this is something that Bob hasn't ever offered on any of my shows. And I think it's a really great opportunity. So like I said, I'm going to put the link to his book. I'm going to do it now and later. And make sure you click the link in the comment, because that'll take you to the link that says you got it on this show, and send an email in saying Marisa Show, and you'll get your appointment with Bob after you purchase his little program and book and stuff the women men adore and never want to leave.
Mhm.
So before we get back to Becky, I just want to hit in with Elise real quick and see if, Elise, you picked up any cards on Becky or the situation, because I know you've been very observant this whole time. And then we'll get back to
We're
Bob.
taking in a lot of information, that's for darn sure. It's crazy. As far as Becky, she had mentioned something about he doesn't validate her. Like she needs validation to make herself feel like the relationship's going in the right direction. At some point in her when she was speaking, I'm feeling she's sort of like putting him off. Like you said, like they don't want to. Men don't want all that information. Something's lost in the relationship, because if in the beginning, like it was the 3 years in, I'm just feeling it's not that he's not attracted or doesn't want to be with her, but she with her constant, saying what's wrong, trying to, I wouldn't say interrogate, but just questioning, saying what she wants. It might be too much. Just listening what she was saying. It's like if I was her boyfriend and she just would, like, I'd be like kind of like shutting it off after a while, because maybe it's too much need or too much information. The card I picked for her was the Queen of Pentacles. So I feel like she needs to be in control of the entire relationship. Personally, she has, trying to fix something that she's not sure what she's fixing, almost. So when you're not in control, you try to be overly controlling, and that's just sort of, sorry Becky, but that's sort of what I'm getting from the situation. Because when you feel like you're not even, or you're not like in control with somebody, you get not desperate, but you get kind of like, oh my God, how am I gonna, like, anxious, like trying to fix it,
Right.
instead of being able to be fixed.
Yeah, that's what her and I talked about the last time. Yeah, exactly the same thing. Was that because of her trauma, and because she had that avoidance with her dad and that emotional distancing, her dad just kind of left emotionally, even though he's still alive. That was a trauma, and she's replaying that every time there's distance, and that distance created, and that anxiety is almost like that little child is like saying, no, like I want that validation that I'm okay. And so a normal person would be like, let him go, he'll be back. But people with this kind of trauma, I believe, once that anxiety hits and those symptoms hit, they almost have that like feeling they need to control it, know that they're okay. And if they get a response, they'll chase you down aggressively till they get their response that you're okay. And then they're able to like feel relief. Right. So it's kind of like, I think there's some of those behaviors I was talking about with Becky is to try to just feel that anxiety and just kind of let him kind of pursue her a little bit. But I think you're absolutely right on the money, Elise, about, because I feel her reactivity is too intense for him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Bob, I want to ask you a question. When you're saying like men are attracted, like there's something about her, what happens when you're in a relationship, and let's say within like almost like 3 years, like Becky and her boyfriend, where they're expecting whatever they like hunted you down for, the qualities that they no longer want that in the relationship, and they want you to change. I don't know if you've ever had situations where men are like, I thought she would change. And that kind of like puts the wall between the couple.
So do you mean they tolerated something and now they're at the point of saying, I don't like it?
Right. Well, let's put it this way. I had somebody that I read, and he loved her outwardness, how she was outspoken, she was funny, she was very jovial, and then it came to a point where he didn't like her being so outspoken. He didn't like her being the life of the party because it was taking the attention away from him. So I don't know if you find that when the hunter gets what they want and they're done with the meat and the meat's like rotting in the ground, they're hoping that it comes back. or
Yeah.
they want to change in the relationship because it's not beating what they're at in their current situation, I guess.
At least the ones I've seen and what I've studied is like in that example, it's the thing that's appealing is appealing because it's familiar, or perhaps it's the opposite. But unconsciously, that's a part of them to work on. So I love the fact that she's, my family was really strict growing up, and here's someone that's just wild and crazy, never plans anything. It's refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really like that. It's not familiar to me. And so the problem is that I'm overreacting to the rigidity of my family. And so I'm wanting her I'm trying to work that out with her. And we all do that with partners to some degree. And that's usually why I'm torn with it stuff, because I really found it appealing. At the same time, it's driving me crazy. That's why a lot of times someone that's good for us initially, I'm going to say it, initially might seem a little boring. And I know folks hate that. They'd rather the person be mean than boring. And boring just means it's a little familiar, but that's why I try to get folks a weight and not just go with the euphoria. Maybe the person's still boring, but sometimes it's not the ideal we thought it was going to be, and we just have to grow into it. This happens in office romances all the time. All the time. No one planned on it. They work together 6 months later. Oh my gosh, they can't keep their hands off each other, versus an instant connection. So in those, the wanting to change back is really an attempt that they're trying to work out something in themselves through their partner. And so I don't like that you're doing this. So if I can fix it in you, I don't have to deal with it with me.
Got it.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt. Were you done, Elise, or
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My something that was pinpointed to me just intuitively, Bob, and Elise also, with Becky's situation is I feel like there was a point in time, like right after she got this house, that I just feel like there was a change in him that caused him to completely get weird. Do you know what I'm saying? And so there's a part of me that doesn't trust something that's going on right now. There's a part of me that doesn't trust something is coming up. Like either he's holding things back and he has a lot of things that maybe some concerns that he doesn't want to talk about with her, because he's like Bob said, afraid of maybe upsetting the apple cart. But I feel something is being unsaid. I just feel on his end, he still wants the relationship, but he's avoiding facing something very important, which could bridge the gap between whether this relationship moves forward or whether it ends. And I don't know what I'm getting from that, Bob, but that's just what I'm picking up. And Beth just got your program, Bob. Awesome.
All right, Beth, then I'll be talking to you.
Yep, Bob's going to be talking to you. Just make sure you email us.
And so I think if they were both in my office, I would be thinking in terms of, is he resentful? And I don't know exactly, because sometimes there's the thing, but there's also what someone thinks about it. So what you and I might think he's upset about is a little different, but we're in the same, we're close. Something about moving out, maybe it was something, and we have to get the person. And that's where the vulnerability comes in to ask. Because if I'm asking you to tell me why you're upset, and this works with women too, I can say why you're upset. No one's going to tell you why they're mad. You ask someone if they're mad, what's the first response? No, I'm not mad. No.
I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm fine. Yes, I'm fine. But if I want someone to really tell me, I have to make it safe for them. It's not a factual thing. I'm asking them to be vulnerable. Because if I'm mad, that means you got to me. If I'm mad, that means you have power over me. And I'm not going to let you know that unless it feels safe enough. And so again, it's not that I'm a little kid or a little boy. It's just, this is easier like I'm doing right now. I'm fine, but no big deal. Just, you can't hurt me. But
so how do we find out what's going on with him? Like, how do we find out what is that we're picking up psychically about him, and that could be clear to Becky? Like, how can she find out what's going on?
Yeah, well, let's pretend we were walking around with Becky and we're invisible. Just
okay.
And we're there and we're consulting Becky, and she can look at us. And at some point, it's over dinner or something, and she says to him, she says, I don't know how to ask this. And especially if she can make a guess. I mean, you don't have to get it perfect, but if it's just kind of a guess, if it was something that happened around the move or something, just, I don't know if you're upset because I moved into my own place or something. And so I thought I'd ask. So you can hear the way I'm asking it. The tone is actually more important than words. You can get away with, I can say peanut butter and jelly in that tone, and a man will feel it. Now with women, that doesn't. With women or peanut butter and jelly, I mean, women are going to hear the words more, but with the tone, and you can hear how safe I'm being with it. He goes, oh, no, nothing. And it's not that on that one conversation it's going to get resolved, but it's just a starting point that I'm interested. I've noticed, and this is where when I talk about in the woman minodor, the woman's the heart, this is what I mean. She intuitively, something's wrong, something's off, and we're not leaving it up to him to figure it out. He probably knows, but he doesn't know how to talk about it. He doesn't know how to, so she asks. And then she waits, and he says, nothing over here. And then she brings up a few weeks later, and what she's doing is she's waiting for an opening. We're not trying to pound out an answer. As much as let's pretend we've read his diary and we know what it is. And if we've read it and he's not talking to us, that means he's not ready to talk about it. But I've read his diary. I know he's upset about the move. Or I know he's upset about me raising my voice from his mom, whatever it is. I'm not trying to play gotcha. As much as I'd like it resolved now, I want it resolved as opposed to I want it resolved now. It's similar to the phrase, let's don't get rich quick. Let's just get rich. It's the quick part that kills people. In the same way with this, let's get this resolved, whether it's quick or not. And I'll tell you who's good at this. I'm not saying do this, but mistresses are excellent at this. Bad mistress is bad. Don't steal someone's husband. But a mistress is patient, and that's what makes her deadly. She bides her time until she gets an opening. Again, don't be a mistress. I'm not condoning that. But that's why wives are wise to fear them, because they don't, the ones that are good at it, they wait, and when they get an opening, they're there. That's what makes a man susceptible. Now, then the question is the person worth it? Sometimes it's too much effort. That's fine. But a woman that does that, especially someone that's still around her 3 years, I'm with you. I don't think he'd be sticking around unless he was interested. I mean, there's a lot easier ways to just casually date if that's what he wanted to do. And if Becky's been upset, yes.
Yeah, and I just think that he is confused about whether he wants to commit for a reason. There's a fear there that he doesn't want to express. Something he saw, something happened, made him feel something that triggered him, I feel, when this move happened. And I don't think he ever expressed it. And I think he's weighing that very heavily. And I think that's why he pulled back.
Mm-hmm.
So, I could see that some of what is we want him to say it in his own words. It's going to be clunky. It's going to be, and see, I want him to stumble and see her not jump in. Because, I'm generalizing. So when women talk, I'm generalizing, y'all tend to talk over each other. That's what it looks like to us. Y'all, that's just talking. Jump in, over talk. If guys do that with each other, it's why you interrupted me. What in the world is? So that's just foreign to us to like jump in someone's sentences and all. And you put that into a discussion. We're having a discussion right now, and you're jumping in like this, and I just don't want to. Nope. Yep. Mm-hmm. And so it doesn't mean to talk this way all the time. But if I'm a woman and I want you to open up, remember the listener is in charge, not the talker. The talker's not in charge. The listener is. If I'm listening and you're talking, eventually you're going to get to where you're supposed to be. There was Carl Rogers was a famous therapist, and he would talk about, he described it as like a horse. If you've ever ridden horses, when it's time for the horse to go home, you don't have to point the horse. You just pat it, and the thing just knows how to get home. Men are similar with that as far as, telling you what's wrong and stuff, but the path they take is different than women. Why can't you just tell me? Because I'm not used to doing this. Or I'm mad. I'm afraid you're going to go off on me like my mom did or something, whatever the issue is. And so that safety thing, again, emotions to us are scary to us, like physical is for women. So if I'm a woman walking downtown, most of the men are bigger than me. There's just a fact of just, if they wanted to beat me up, they could. With with emotions, if she wanted to get to emotional thing, I'm at a disadvantage. I'm just, that just feels out of control to me. And so I try to remind women of that, is that what's effortless for you, for us, is foreign. We've got 2 gears. We can be really intense or we can pull back. But we don't have those 14 middle gears like you do.
So let me ask you a question, Bob.
Mhm.
Would it be more beneficial with a guy who shuts down, like we're seeing with him, for her to not actually try to confront him and verbally communicate with him versus her just pulling back and getting him to realize, oh, she's pulling back. I have to do a little more work. And I really want to, more of her actions are kind of showing him that she's not as interested because he's not showing investment. It seems like he's the type of guy that might have to realize that on his own. So what's the better action step for her at this point?
I'm thinking a combination of both. It's because if you have that conversation and we're not trying to close the deal on that conversation and we're just waiting for him, and it sounds like, Becky, you've already started with not, with pulling back some.
Yeah, little by little, I've just tried that to see where that gets me. And like I said, it works initially, but then he kind of reverts back, and then I pull a little bit more just to try and see if he realizes what I'm doing.
Okay, so if I could, this is my wish list. Okay, I'm not saying it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
So if we trust what we know and not what we see, that's not easy. When folks talk about taking a leap of faith, that's really what they mean. It's just, and so we know that, okay, if the pattern has been, if you close the gap, which is a nice quality, that's what's tough. It's not like you're trying to be mean, but remember, all of us get in trouble overusing our gift. So if I'm good at connecting, I'm going to overdo that at times. Nothing wrong with connecting. I just don't want to overuse it. And so when he does this, we're not trying to have him get it. And I'm going to make this distinction, is we want him to feel it. And this is what's tough. When you allow for that space, see, I want him to be curious, not get it. I don't want him to know exactly why. I'd like to, but I'd rather him be curious, because that's what is most likely to have a man come towards you. See, I think you do it, and some of this is going to be managing some of your own anxiety. I'm not saying it's easy, but that curiosity that sounds like you're starting to create. And if you have a talk, and a talk's not so much a confrontation, you're right, Marissa, I wouldn't do a confrontation. It's just more of this is your domain, and you notice something. And I learned this in graduate school. They had us practice this. I never forgot this. And their point was, when someone says something to you, and you say, it sounds like you're a little angry. And they said, even if they're not angry, they said, they'll correct you and you still win. They said, no, I'm not angry. I'm just really upset about this. Okay. See, that doesn't mean you got it wrong. You just have to be kind of close, because that comes across that you care and that you understand him. Okay. And when a man feels a woman gets him, that's when you start seeing a guy talk. That maybe not as much as a woman would be. That's when he starts feeling safe enough. Oh, that she's not going to clobber, which means initially he may do more sharing than you do. Because to me, what you're talking about is too important to try to balance it out right now. Like, when's my turn? So I'm not saying this is fair. But see, I want it to be, my wish for you is, I want my term, to be emotionally dependent upon you, not in an unhealthy way.
Okay.
I see what you want. I actually want also. I want that. But when he gets closer, I'm trying to get you, if you're fishing, not to try to jerk the line and bring him in too quick.
Right, and I think that's sometimes what I've done. It's like, okay, I see you out there, I think I've got you, and then, I overdo it, and then I totally lose him.
But it sounds like you're starting, what Marissa started you with, that you're actually starting to not, and just by recognizing it, that's the first part. If I realize it, that means I'm less likely to kind of jerk on the line and do it. Sometimes it just takes a amount of time before the guy to realize and feel that distance that we're talking about. And when it's a combination of both, when he doesn't feel the pulling in and whatever, that curiosity, does she like me? Does she mad at me? Is she breaking up with me? So who knows what he's thinking, but that's the control we give up.
Right.
If you don't know exactly what he's thinking, The nice thing is he'll start to feel that tension. And that's actually what you want when a guy's doubting or ghosting or you're not really sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's been 3 years. That's a long time for a man to stick around that has no interest or I mean, men do dumb things, but they don't do that usually.
Right, especially because that's a big life thing. You wouldn't think that you'd want to waste your time on a maybe or a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's what I would hope.
No, women give chances. Some men don't. We don't. Men do not understand the thought of giving chances. So if a man's spending time, or even if they're pulling away, there's something there. So does that make sense? What I'm thinking?
Yeah, I agree. And I know, Marissa, you were talking earlier about that little hit that you got where you were saying, oh, I feel like there's something that happened around the move. And that's stuck out to me for so long because that's where I can pinpoint this big shift in him and how he just was with me. And I've wondered, is it related to jealousy? Is it because he felt like he wasn't included in the decision? Like, I don't know if he resents me because it was a step that we didn't get to take together. So I'm wondering if maybe that's part of where his weirdness about everything has come from.
Could it be that you didn't need him anymore? Like, men like to be needed, I guess, in a roundabout way. And you were able to go out on your own and do this independently without him.
I've wondered that, and I've spoken to like my girlfriends about that too, and they've brought that up to me also, where they think he must just feel like you don't need him for anything. So why is he then going to put forth all this effort when he might see you as being able to take charge and do things on your own, which makes me feel good. But at the same time, if you're supposed to be my boyfriend, I want to include you and I want you to feel included.
Okay, so let me do that. That's a good example. So think what you just said, and notice if I say, I'm gonna say it differently. If you say, I notice you do these things, then honestly, I just miss you.
And I've never said it like that.
See, I'm not. It's not like one's all great and one's bad. But notice I'm not. See, I don't want him to think as much as it, because if he doesn't feel it, it doesn't matter if he gets it. Kind of stuff. Because see, that's the issue, is that you miss him. It's not so much what he should do as much as how it affects you. See, I don't care if he's picking his teeth with a toothpick. If that bothers you, whether that bothers him or not, that's enough. It doesn't matter whether that's rude or not rude. It bothers you. And see, and every man has to learn a woman's signature, and this is yours. So ideally, the more we can, some things are right or wrong, but the more we can slide away from that to this is what I like, this is what I don't like, and something like that, I just miss you. Oh, and you can feel the difference, because it sounded, just listen to your voice, you could feel it. I'm asking you.
Right, Becky. It's like there's a more sincerity behind it, and it's quick and simple, and it delivers a big punch.
It's vulnerable too, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Oh, yes, it is. See, that vulnerability, and I think that's what both Elise and Marisa were talking about, that vulnerability, not all the time. I would be really curious if you gave a month or so vulnerability, not transparency where you share everything, but see, if I'm vulnerable, I'm sharing what I need, and you could blow me off, whatever. I'm not making it factual. If it's factual and you disagree, now it's a debate. Now it's made the best man win. And you might win, but that's not motivating. But if I'm vulnerable, that's just being sincere and honest. This is what I like. This is what's disappointing. And I'm not trying to guide it as much. I'm just sharing. This is how it's coming across to me. And I wonder for him, because at least what I've seen, folks, is when a woman does this, that's when those things come out with a man, where they share. And when they do tell you what's wrong, and sometimes it's not anything that or it's what we thought of, but just how did he possibly get that out of this? I mean, the logic is goofy, but to him it's not, and it's trapped in his head. See, I want him talking.
Yeah, and I get a feeling like she's going to have to make a commitment to follow something through with her plan. Like if she kind of goes at this, like, okay, I'm going to kind of mention it to him, then kind of go back to what I was doing and wait. I feel like it's almost like you need to make an energetic decision, Becky, that you're going to follow this through. And if you lose him at the end of it, you lose him. And if you gain him, it's going to be a full commitment. I want you to kind of go all in with this, because if you kind of go into this halfway and you try what Bob is telling you, just kind of a little bit, this is just my intuitive feeling, I feel like you'll be in that same waiting game again. You'll be waiting for him to like, oh, he's going to stick his foot in the pool, a toe in the pool, and then pull it out, and I want you to have some answers, and I want you to know if you want to move forward, so you're not waiting another year of this ambiguity.
Right. And I just don't want to feel like I keep putting in all this effort and don't get anything back in return. And I miss it being how good it was in the beginning when we had that better communication and things were just a lot more fun and lighthearted. And in speaking with you guys, I see where the reactivity that I've had to the different traumas in my past are playing a factor into this that I might not have seen before, or at least realized, but didn't really see the depth of what it has been doing to this relationship. So it's a very interesting perspective that I didn't have coming into this before.
Yeah, well, it's great that you came on. I just looked at the clock. We only have about a few more minutes. We're already at an hour and a half. Usually we stop at the hour. So I know I'd love to talk to you for another 2 hours, but unfortunately we have to end soon. I just wanted to give Elise an opportunity to jump in if you wanted to say anything more, Elise, then we'll get back to Bob and wrap it up.
No, but I'm learning a lot, especially with Bob.
Yeah.
But no, I'm good.
Awesome. I mean, for me, Becky, I feel like a little fire needs to be put under his butt. And like I said, with Bob, I think you're in control of that. And I think that if you know you're being reactive, maybe that reactivity is what's scaring him thinking, oh my God, am I going to have to live with that energy the rest of my life if I move in with her?
And I can see how that would be a turn off completely, because I wouldn't want someone to do that to me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, if you test that and you pull back that reactivity and he's still acting the way he's acting, and you put Bob's practical insight into place, maybe you're going to see something different. But this is a good opportunity to practice, taking a step back with your triggers and calling a female friend and going off, letting her, when you have them. But also you could see if it's you, maybe he can't tell you, hey, I don't know how to express it, but your energy sometimes scares me. You know what I mean? Maybe he has that experience, but I feel it's almost like you have to get him to have a feeling that he's going to lose you if he doesn't act quickly. And that's where Bob comes into play. So yeah, that's just my feeling. I feel like he feels like he has a lot of time and he's going to take his time. And he's shelving this decision, and you're getting more frustrated. And then he's saying, see, she's acting crazy again. Maybe I shouldn't do this. And then you're saying, hey, I'm leaving. He's like, wait. I'm going to give her a couple things here to make her stay so I can make my decision. It just feels like, I don't know. It just feels like to me, you have to change something up like quick.
So,
yeah, I would agree with that completely.
So while Marisa was speaking, I pulled the card. And he's just too darn comfortable where he's at, because he knows it's too familiar, and he need, like Marisa said, he needs fire under his butt or a kick in the butt, whatever's easier for you. But definitely, he thinks that he's invincible, and he doesn't want to deal with like the distance, but he has to realize that you are your own person. And that's probably what basically it drew him to you. So your independence and your stability, is maybe something that he doesn't really have. And he kind of like wants that in his life. But yeah, I agree with Marisa. You got to like play hard to stir it up a little bit.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense.
Yeah, so you're going to try a mixture of what everybody says. And Bob, people are saying, hey, can Bob at least come on a monthly basis to the show? Well, guess what? I'm going to add another offer into what we talked about with Bob's program. If you just signed on, okay, we have a special offer if you want more of Bob to yourself, because everybody wants to be on with Bob. Okay. And yes, we'll bring him on again. Not sure when it's going to be, but tonight's show offer, he's offering it to people on our show, our listeners, our viewers. It's valid through next week, 9/25 at 9 p.m. That's when it expires. You purchase a copy of Bob's program, which is The Women Men Adore and Never Want to Leave, and you get your own private call with Bob, which he doesn't ever do. It's a $150 value. It's 15 minutes, and you have to just mention the code Marisa's Show after you get the program and email it to us. And I put the link to the program. I'm going to put it in the comments section right now, and you can have Bob. But I'll add something else on that if you buy it within this time frame. So many people are asking, could I come on with Bob? Could I come on with Bob? Well, Becky got an hour's worth of insight from Bob. If you want to get all the focus on you and you want to get readings from us too at time, you'll be entered into a contest, and we'll pick one of you. Whoever has bought the books, we'll pick one of you to come back on next time. Okay, so I'm going to put that into the chat. Any parting words, Bob?
Yeah, so Becky, think in terms of, since you mentioned Women Men Adore, if there's one way it looks to men, think about the word soft. And I can be soft and firm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to raise my voice to make a point. In fact, it can actually come across more intimidating if I talk softer. Because once I do this, I've lost them. And the more right I am, the more they. So you can be soft and firm. You can be soft and slow, because you don't want his guard to go up. And that can be just as firm as they're talking about and not tolerating. Because remember, you can't make a man do anything. There is, I mean, you can't make a woman do anything, but you cannot make a man, even if you're right. And you wouldn't want someone that you had to make do stuff. I mean, that's hard enough with kids, getting them to behave. So a grown man isn't. And so if you think in terms of wearing like an outfit that's just soft and you wore it for the next couple of months, that cannot help but have an impact on your relationship. I can't do 100%, but I can come pretty close with that. Maybe it gets worse or better, but that removes a lot of the stuff, I think. And then you'll have a lot of insight as far as where he's coming from, because that's removed one of the things I think he gets to hide behind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's all your fault, but I think it makes it easier for him to tune out and say, yes, there she goes again. And I'd like to see what happens when he can't hide behind that. And so that it's not on you as much.
I like that. I like that approach. That's something I definitely want to try and integrate into this and see where I get, because I agree with everyone. We want to see what's going on at the root of this. I want to know. I really want to know.
Okay.
You'll know something in a couple of months if you'll do this. It may be sooner, but if you'll think like that, as opposed to, the next time I see him, I mean, you just don't want to put a lot of pressure on each meeting being the magical thing. That's what gets folks in trouble. But just a couple of months, you'll catch him on good days and bad days. And that way he'll trust that, oh my gosh, this is real. And it's a totally different feel for him. And my guess is you probably did more of this in the beginning. Don't know, but that's my guess, because most folks do, because they know. Trying to make a good impression in the beginning until I get comfortable.
Yep, that's right. You want to present your best self.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. We'll go back to that self, Becky. And we are so happy to have you on the show. We do have to wrap up, but we'd love to have you come back on again and follow up with us in a month and let us know how everything worked out, because we had a few ladies on about a couple weeks ago, but I haven't heard any feedback. So sometimes ladies don't take that advice right away.
Mm-hmm.
So we will have you back if you have some success with this. And we thank everybody for coming on. Thanks, Bob and Elise. And I hope everybody's been quiet in the chat room, so I'm assuming they've all been listening. And we hope you guys had a wonderful night in the lounge, and we look forward to seeing everybody for the office and the porch and everything else next week. So thanks everybody again, and we will see you soon. Everybody say bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for